Hello everyone, welcome to 2024 year of the long. This is Alan and this is Jason again. Let's wish everybody happiness and wellness and prosperity in the year of the long. Yeah? All right, so this is actually continuing on our series about the SDG, about this book, talking about sustainability, youth development, empowerment, and diversity. It's actually written by a professor graduated from Harvard, Shelley Mo Ching Yang. So we're actually moving forward to a topic today on SDG 3 and 12, Jason. What is SDG 3?
Wellness and responsible production and consumption.
That's right. And particularly, we're actually reading to is chapter 6 about strategic management. What is your understanding about strategic management, Jason?
It's something to do with strategically managing your organization, such as basically you have to use good strategies instead of just letting things go all over the place and calling it management.
Very well said. Actually, it's a process, all right? So we act as the manager of the organization. We have to manage the different resources, put it into the right place. Of course, we have to set goals and objectives. Let me give you an example, Jason. Let's say if you're a pilot, okay? So you have to set your destination. For example, we're located in Hong Kong. If we want to go to Eastern Europe, maybe northern part of Eastern Europe countries, so we have to plan our direct routes. And then we have to set, manage our fuels. Where do we go to transit? And we have to predict the weather forecast. During the journey, sometimes you will have unexpected climate conditions, right? And also, you might heard about different news like geographical political conditions, like they're having some warfare, across Eastern Europe now. We have to do some on-routine, that kind of things, right? So strategic management is about setting your goals and objectives from one point going to the other destination. But along the way, you have to manage a lot of different things. But most importantly, you have to set your objective right. That is your destinations. So tell me a little bit about, your project about Minecraft tournaments. How did you set your objectives and goals?
Actually, the objectives, for example, we have our builders work on more one thing at a time. For example, with our Chinese New Year flower market stalls, one stall at a time, one build at a time, instead of having everything go all over the place.
People have to
Yes.
do things separately.
And it's not that easy. So don't think it's easy. It's actually a harder job than what you might expect.
So I know that, I heard two things. You have obviously set a timeline, that's Chinese New Year, and also you have set different builders to different things. That's division of work as well. That's very good, clear objective. But when we talk about analyzing the competitive environments, we talk about external, right? So that is in this context, our students or players, they have a lot of things to manage. They have to during a couple weeks back, they have examinations, and then also after examinations, they have a lot of different extracurriculums. So how do you manage to, get them to be focused on their work?
First of all, when we are talking examinations, just some kind of other way to measure people's strengths and so on, which actually makes it harder for them because it's a straight up exam, which means they have to spend more time on it. And we also are able to manage them well by actually keeping them balanced instead of having them not balanced. We actually try to make them plan their time well instead of keep coming here. We encourage them to do what are their responsibilities instead because the more important things come first.
Okay, so you're talking about time management and priorities, right? That's really good. So also we have to analyze the internal organizations that is, managing people within this organization. In Planet EDU, you have to talk to Planet EDU tutors, teachers. Also, you have to recruit coders and talk to managing builders and also managing expectation about the parents. How do you manage that?
We have definitely faced some issues, but we try to respectfully handle them, and we actually tell, for example, the parents like what we are doing is actually we are trying to be good, and we actually try to tell them from our point of view instead of saying like, haha, your kid is just game.
Okay, so basically you have to communicate with different stakeholders, i.e., parents, and then let them understand exactly what your goals and objective is and how you can accomplish that, right? And throughout this tournament, you have to implement different strategies. So, what kind of strategies, like recruiting builders, like promoting the events? So, is it challenging?
Yes, it's actually harder than you expect.
That you have actually filming this kind of clips. This is actually really good strategies. Does it work?
Yes, it works. As you can see right now in the clip, if you can see it, we actually had people working on one build at a time instead of going all over the place and building different things.
By visualizing what you do and then communicating to the community, this will promote better understanding of what you do. So work sounds better than words sometimes. So lastly, we talk about ensuring your strategic management strategy rolls out throughout the organization. That is, it has to persistent communication across different people. Is it challenging? Sometimes, when you think of something, you like other people to follow and everybody follow the strategy. Is it challenging? Yes, it's definitely challenging. And regarding the communication parts, it's actually much harder than you would expect because sometimes some of our people working on this maybe can't pick up a call, can't see a message, can't see any kind of piece of information at all times, which makes it definitely harder for all of us. And sometimes they can't tell us everything at once and so on. Mitigate this challenge by having like offline face-to-face gathering so that people can better communicate. Do you think that works better? Yes, it does work better, but sometimes we might have to do online as well. That's right. So striking a balance because people can always do offline, right? But offline definitely will facilitate better communications and better understanding, putting everybody on the same page. Example of how we had classes on Zoom, and it was actually much harder to communicate from teacher to student, and the students really much all students found it harder to learn on Zoom. Yeah, that's right. So throughout your Minecraft tournament, it actually echoes to what this book says about strategic management. It actually applies to both small and large organizations, whether it is actually government or non-profit or public sector or just like a project here, it applies. And also it obtains sustainable competitive advantage. Let's explore into this context. So when we talk about sustainable competitive advantage, it involves developing and implementing plans to help an organization of a project to achieve its goals and objectives. And this process often include formulate strategy. So how do we actually formulate strategy, Jason, here? Yes, we have to like as I was trying to say earlier, we have to think about how we are actually going to do stuff and like if there are going to be any problems with our strategy. Of course we try to use the best strategy, but that cannot always happen. Right. So we also have to implement the strategy. We have to plan about organizational structure. So within our small teams, we spoke about different roles. So you're clearly coordinator here, the project manager here. I'm actually co-project manager. Okay. He is the main manager. So we have to plan our structure, right? So we have different people responsible for different tasks. Even smaller roles, tasks, right? Like registering builders to take notes of who came here and when is something that we actually need to do and we have to keep track of it. Even such small tasks sometimes can be an issue because like they might not understand the instruction that clearly. When we talk about formulating strategy, sometimes we cannot just have one strategy throughout, the whole journey, right? Just like when you're flying a plane, sometimes there's unexpected climate conditions, right? How do you manage that? We actually just think about like first of all we have to think about like how we're going to do this, and then we have to think about are there going to be any issues doing this. If there are,
we will still try to use the other best strategy.
For example, when we first planned about this tournament, it was still during the COVID conditions, right? So we were thinking of everybody actually participate via online. But when the COVID conditions actually got better, right? Now everybody is back on the streets. So in December, we have a stores in the middle of Fairview Town Center, and you actually change your strategy. You become an instructor then, right? You become a promoter as well.
My job was really to help promote the tournament. We were trying to host a Christmas tournament. Then, because it was too cold, people didn't want to play in it. So now we are changing to the Chinese New Year. And during the course of this tournament, it's going to be much warmer.
That's right. So actually, we have to keep formulating and fine tuning our strategy. And when we plan our organization structure, this will also have to do with the resource allocation as well. For example, we have to think about time management. You spoke about people have limited time and they have different roles. Sometimes, Planet EDU tutors, they have to teach during class, and then on the same time, they have to assist in the administrative work like promotion, IG or Facebook, all these advertisement kind of things.
And also, even a lot of our managers are quite busy. We need to be able to do this better and not require so much management. Strategies talking about strategic management.
That's right. So autonomous kind of working environments, people know what to do, and also trust, right? We have trust among ourselves so that we can actually do things independently. So this is very important because sustainable competitive advantage is all about leading change initiatives, because the environment is ever changing and we have to be very responsive. We have to quickly respond to different conditions. It's a lot of processes and resources. Towards the end of this session, Jason, you have learned a lot about strategic management, actually, right?
We both were learning about strategic management, and we hope we have taught you something about strategic management too, and how we apply it in our projects and what we do.
Yeah, because a lot of textbook learning is about, telling the definition. Just like strategic management, there's two approaches. One is prescriptive. That is, you write it on your strategic plan, okay, which what we did as well. And then the second one is called put it into practice, descriptive and prescriptive. Prescriptive is about putting it onto a plan and paper, but descriptive, it is more putting it into practice, right? We have to be responsive to a lot of changes. And it also have to do with internal communication and external communications with different stakeholders, right? So we've been through that. So today, this is a very fruitful session about strategic management. We hope that you also have little light see into your Chinese New Year pocket. So we wish everybody, wisdom and good time management in your year ahead.
And good strategic management and a happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Dragon.
Yes. Bye now.